Hey everybody, it's Chris Bumber here at Cinemacon Day 2, and boy, what a day it was. Saw a lot of stuff, did 2 big panels, and I'm going to tell you all about them. So let's start with Warner Brothers. But all of you watching this want to know what's going on with the DCU. James Gunn was there with Peter Safran and the whole cast of Superman, David Corenswet, Rachel Brosnahan, and of course Nicholas Hoult. We didn't get a ton of new information, but we did see an extended scene from Superman, which shows Superman, basically the scene that you saw in the trailer where he's wounded, Krypto comes to get him. We see a bit of an extended version of that where Krypto comes to get him, but almost kills him with love, where he's jumping all over him and hitting Superman and drags him off. Seems like Krypto's a bit of a bad dog. He's a bad dog, but he's also a good dog, if you know what I mean. And we see Superman's helpers at the Fortress of Solitude that are all robots. The robots hate Krypto because Krypto's always doing bad stuff like peeing on them and chewing them up. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of dog content in this movie, which is either going to turn some people off or it's going to really charm some people. I don't know yet, but the movie seems very nostalgic to the Richard Donner films. It's all about kindness. It's all about love. It's very non-cynical. Will that go down well in our cynical age? I really don't know, but it seems like it's the anti-Man of Steel. So if you're a Zack Snyder fan and you liked his darker version of Superman, this might be a bit of an uphill battle, but it does look very much in the mold of the Max Fleischer cartoons where you got pocket universes, kaiju, sorcery, all kinds of crazy shit going on. So I kind of liked it, but it's such a gamble. So we'll see. And I feel like if this movie isn't a hit, it might bring down a whole studio. So hopefully it does well for them. It looks pretty cool though, I have to say. Otherwise, we saw some footage from One Battle After Another, which is like the $120 million P.T. Anderson movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. The trailer came out last week. We didn't see that much extra footage. We saw like a second trailer that had a lot more action. So the movie is quite action driven. I think that people don't really realize how much of an action film it is. Leonardo DiCaprio seems really to be playing like kind of a character similar to Rick Dalton in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where he's kind of a badass, but it's also a lot of comedy. We saw an extended version of the scene where he's trying to get the password and talks about being a drug and alcohol addict for 30 years. It does look like Benicio del Toro completely steals this movie though. And I've heard that Sean Penn is amazing as the villain. We only got a little taste of him. It's all shot in IMAX aspect ratio though on VistaVision film, which is pretty cool. Not much for Mortal Kombat 2, which was a bit of a disappointment, although we did see a couple of shots that were included in the sizzle reel that really center around Carl Urban's Johnny Cage. He even says, "I'm Johnny fucking Cage" at one point, which is cool. Looks like he's the star of the movie, which is in line with what I've read from some of the test screening reports that say him and Katana really are the leads in the movie, and that a lot of the actors that people didn't like in the first film are just kind of dealt with at a certain point, but I guess we'll see when the movie comes out. We also saw the first 10 minutes of F1. So Jerry Bruckheimer and director Joseph Kosinski were there, and they really said that it's the Top Gun Maverick of racing movies, which is interesting because the Jerry Bruckheimer, Tony Scott, Days of Thunder really was Top Gun on wheels, and this is Top Gun Maverick on wheels, which I kind of love. So we saw the first 10 minutes, has a lot of racing footage. Brad Pitt apparently did his own race car driving, which is nuts, just like Tom Cruise did a lot of his own flying in Top Gun Maverick. And it really does look like it's the same kind of immersive, big screen event. It could be a huge hit or it could be a huge flop. I'm thinking it's going to be amazing in terms of action. As far as the story goes, I don't know. It's really too early to tell, but it does seem like it's a lot more realistic than Grand Prix or even Le Mans and even Days of Thunder. It really looks like they're trying to put you right there in the race car, which is a pretty amazing thing. And I don't know, it looks great in terms of action. I don't know how the film will be, but I mean, I'm definitely going to go see it. Now on to Lionsgate. Lionsgate has had a rough year with a lot of flops. So predictably, they're kind of building their future around the John Wick franchise. So the movie that they were really promoting was Ballerina, and we saw some extended footage from that movie. A really cool fight scene where Ana de Armas's character fights a henchman who's played by Daniel Bernhardt, who, if you're a B-movie action fan, you might remember him from Bloodsport 2 and 3 back in the 90s. He shows up in these movies all the time because he's a stuntman, fight choreographer. I think Keanu Reeves killed him at least twice in the John Wick movies, and Bob Odenkirk fought him in Nobody. So Ana de Armas takes him on, has a good fight with him, and then later on fights this cook in a kitchen who's a woman who they have this crazy feral fight, and they start breaking plates over each other's heads, which was a really cool scene. So Ana de Armas and Len Wiseman were there, and they were talking about how excited they are about the movie. as anybody who's followed the story of this film knows, like there's a lot there were a lot of reshoots, I think, with Chad Stahelski involved, and the movie really does have the visual style of John Wick 4, and the action really seems to have that 8711 touch to it. I think it looks really cool, but they're not given up on the John Wick franchise, that's for sure. And one of the things that's interesting is they did kind of reveal what John Wick's role is going to be in Ballerina, and it looks like he's actually an antagonist, with him called in by, you know, the bosses, you know, the High Council, to get rid of Ballerina, and it takes place between John Wick 3 and 4. I have a hunch though that John Wick is going to probably team up with her towards the end, but I guess that remains to be seen. Otherwise, they announced they're doing a John Wick animated prequel. Okay, it's all set before John Wick. Maybe that's a good idea, maybe not. I don't know. They're also doing a Kane spinoff, which sounds amazing, which is directed by and stars Donnie Yen, reprising his role from John Wick 4. That I'm excited to see. And it's all like Hong Kong style, which is great. And of course, they're doing John Wick 5, despite the fact that he pretty clearly died at the end of the last movie. But hey, money is money, and I bet the paycheck is huge. And apparently Stahelski and Reeves have got a proof of concept for the 5th movie, and they're full steam ahead. So there you go. Otherwise, at Lionsgate, I really thought we were going to see some footage from the Michael Jackson movie, Michael. But if you've been following the website and all the news regarding that movie, they apparently had to scrap and reshoot a lot of the film due to some legal issues. So predictably, there was no footage to be seen, and I wasn't surprised. Another franchise that Lionsgate seems very keen on reactivating is Now You See Me, with the 3rd film, Now You See Me, Now You Don't, which is now directed by Ruben Fleischer, who did Zombieland, which makes sense because 2 of the stars of Zombieland are in these films, Woody Harrelson and Jesse Eisenberg. So in this film, Jesse Eisenberg recruits a much younger team to team up with the Horsemen to basically steal this really crazy diamond from Rosamund Pike's character. She plays the villain. She's part of a family that apparently funds terrorism and warlords. Looks like more of an action movie, though, than the last 2, which is interesting. Dave Franco's character shows up and actually does a lot of fighting, it seems, which is a cool thing, because I always really wish that the last 2 movies had more action and less of just being kind of the magical version of Ocean's 11. Looks like my wish has been granted. Doesn't seem like Mark Ruffalo's back in this one, though, although Isla Fisher, who I loved in the first movie and wasn't in the second one, is back, which is amazing because I love me some Isla Fisher. And if you're a Hunger Games fan, they did announce that they are filming the latest novel that just came out as a film. They released the whole new logo, no casting yet, but they said it's much more in line with the original Hunger Games films than The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which may please fans, may not please fans, so we'll see. Anyway, there's a ton more stuff that came from both the Warner Brothers and the Lionsgate panels involving horror. Our guy Lance Valchek has a video up on the JoBlo Horror channel, which you can check out now, and it's also going live on this channel in a few hours, so make sure to check it out for all kinds of buzz on some really cool looking movies like Weapons, The Long Walk by Francis Lawrence, which looks amazing, and even The Bride by Maggie Gyllenhaal, which has gotten some bad buzz, but actually looks like it might actually be a really cool movie. And plus Final Destination, that one's pretty gory, and I like the footage that I saw, but I'll let Mr. Valchek tell you all about it. So we'll be back tomorrow with a lot more.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.